Hey, thought leaders. This is the personalbranding.com podcast, and I'm your host, Dillon Kivo. Join us to learn how to build a legacy, boost your reputation, and make a lasting impact. Let's dive in. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the personalbranding.com podcast. Thanks for joining me again. And if you're new to the podcast, welcome. So in today's episode, we are going to talk about what I call the authority mindset. It's probably one of my favorite things in the book. So, because a lot of the time, the biggest obstacle that keeps people from gaining authority, it's their mentality. A lot of us are just so conditioned to think that we aren't worthy of having authority. That definitely used to be true even for myself. It sounds so simple, but mindset can be, it's usually the difference between who becomes an authority and who doesn't. So to put yourself just in a position for success, you have to address your mindset first. You don't only need to know how to succeed, but you also need to feel that you are capable and also worthy of it as well. Lots of people try to accomplish great things, but many of them never really get there. Here's a quick stat. Did you know that 20% of small businesses fail within their first year? And by the fifth year, that number shoots up to 50%. I've even seen numbers as high as 90%, which is insane. But those owners, they have to clean up the mess and they've got to move on. As a small business owner, you take all of the responsibility for the failure of your business. It's all on you. It's up to you to pick up the pieces and keep on moving forward. And it takes so much resilience. Most of those business owners don't get right back to just starting over. Many, they never even try again. So strengthening your mind and adjusting your mindset now is going to save you for years in the future of just trouble. And having the proper mindset is essential in the process of building your reputation. There might be some mental blocks, I get it, or even limiting beliefs, keeping you from taking the steps forward and having the authority. Before we can implement the strategies that I'll talk about in the future episodes, we have to handle those mental blocks and replace them with thoughts that will put you on the right path to success. Are your mental blocks stopping you from succeeding? If you're like most people out there, you'd probably find limiting beliefs somewhere on that list of things that are holding you back today. Here's the reality. Limiting beliefs don't care who you are. Grade schoolers have them, and so do CEOs. I've had them. I still do have a couple of them left. But you have to learn to suppress those, to be bigger than those, in order to build the authority mindset. So what are limiting beliefs? They're opinions about yourself that keep you from taking action and improving your life. They can be anything that causes negative self-talk. They usually involve some version of the word can't, right? I can't learn how to be more efficient. I can't escape my 9 to 5. I can't ever be successful. Or even the worst one, I can't earn respect. You can substitute anything after the phrase I can't. Also, another one is I'm not, or even I'll never, right? There's no way on earth. Or phrases you might find yourself saying, or at least thinking. If you have limiting beliefs, these negative thoughts are going to hold you back. There's lots of reasons you may have these beliefs. Could be from childhood, could be because something happened in the past. Or maybe you grew up with parents who never talked about money, so you're not confident about handling your finances. Maybe you were fired from a previous job, so you work super hard to please your employer and you're afraid to venture out on your own. When we boil it down, fear is behind every limiting belief. We fear failure, other people's opinions, the unknown, and so on. And when we fear something, we stop taking action. The first step in sorting out these mental blocks is to identify them. Try this. So, write down as many of your limiting beliefs you can possibly think of. It doesn't matter what they are, as long as they inhibit you in some sort of way. Then find the ones that stop you from doing things that aren't harmful or dangerous, just difficult. Finally, take those negative thoughts and turn them into action phrases. For example, if you've written down, I can't be efficient, next to it, right, I'm going to work on my efficiency. Or instead of I can't focus, right, I'm going to put in the time to improve my focus. Another issue you might need to address is indecision. Indecisiveness is going to prevent you from maintaining the right mindset. It can break a career or even a relationship and keep you from ever being an authority. Simply put, indecisiveness is a business killer. You can be indecisive for a lot of reasons, but each has the same outcome. If you stay indecisive, you'll become more anxious as you go forward. You'll take fewer risks and miss opportunities because you can't commit to them. If you struggle with indecision, you'll need to develop habits of focus. There are many ways to get rid of distractions, and we all deal with them from time to time. And we all deal with them differently, right? For starters, replace a bad habit with a good one. Sounds simple. Take what you're poorly doing now and replace it with a habit that produces a great outcome. Give yourself the chance to end the bad habit and begin a new one. Positive ones that make you more efficient. For example, when I was playing hockey, I didn't wait for the game to start and then avoid making mistakes. I proactively worked on my mistakes ahead of the game, and I replaced them with effective habits. If my puck handling skills were a bit shaky, I'd focus on working on better puck handling skills the week before, the month, forever. There was always something that I was working on. So when it comes to mindset, you have to be proactive. Here's how you do it. First, you break down the old habits, which isn't easy. But if you don't have the desire to change, your chance of success is super low. So if you're going to take this first step, you need to take the initiative and work on your habits and your approach. One thing that helps a lot of us is to get passionate. Passion will drive you to do better and be better. If you love what you do enough, the mindset will fall in place. And practice is so much easier because it comes so natural. Passion is one of the strongest driving forces out there, and it determines what you spend your time on. You'll need to evaluate what you are passionate about and see what elements work with your business plans. I always tell people, make sure that you are passionate about your chosen path. When you take pride in your job, it's almost impossible to hate working. When I worked at McDonald's, I showed up on time and I worked hard, but I wasn't really passionate. I didn't want to do something that made someone else lots of money while I took home a tiny paycheck, right? There was no way I could have been passionate about that job, and no way could I make a career out of it. So decide what you'll do and make sure you enjoy it. You need to be passionate about it in order to break through the barriers. Passion for what you're doing, it isn't enough though. You need to be an authority. You need to be knowledgeable in your space. And if you're not confident and you're indecisive, you might not know enough about the subject you're attempting to master. I knew I'd enjoy PR and business from an early stage of my career. I also knew that because of my mentorship and experience I had. Look, I have a greater chance of success in this field just purely because I knew I was so passionate about it. I've had to continue learning about new niches and industries and information, of course, but my original goal, it hasn't changed since I started. And what's really helped further my career is increasing my knowledge of my specialty in the media space. If you don't know much about marketing or PR, but you're working night and day to start a PR firm, you're going to find out that there are a lot of things that can make you hesitate along the way. And most of those things, they come in the form of a learning curve, right? It's hard enough to sit at a keyboard and grind away or chase cold calls when you know what you're doing. Having a learning curve, it adds an extra layer of difficulty to your entire process of building your business. And this is where lots of insecurities and hesitancy can come from. It's a good obstacle to tackle early on to get rid of that hesitant mindset. Once you've identified your weakness, prioritize which ones you need to work on first. Try asking yourself, what obstacle is hindering me the most? And how much time does this obstacle take from my day? And then how much more effective and efficient could I be without this one obstacle? And after that, it's just a matter of listing them out and working on them. Treat your self-education and discipline as importantly as you treat your business plan. Negative mindsets are fixable. You just need to figure out which ones need fixing first. Regulate your response to them and make it your goal to deal with them before they hold you back any longer from achieving your goals. Do you have negative self-talk about your abilities, your past, or your potential? If you've ever stepped outside of your comfort zone, you probably do. Almost anyone can benefit from a boost in confidence, but it's not always easy to identify how to achieve it, especially if you're already busy with your daily grind. But believe me, you can't afford to ignore it. My number one tip for you is pretty simple, and I've seen it work hundreds of times. It's called find out the why. Figure out what's causing you to lack confidence. Maybe it's a certain subject or task. For example, maybe you're uncomfortable with public speaking. I know I've pretty much always been uncomfortable with that because every time you've spoken publicly, you couldn't stop thinking about the audience looking at you, or you looked worried or awkward or whatever on stage. Maybe phone calls stress you out because you don't know what to say when you're asked unexpected questions and you don't want to look like a fool. Once you've identified the things holding you back, change the narrative. That looks like taking the negative experience or feeling and turning it into something that has a positive association. Let it make you feel excited instead. Not nervous, but excited. This technique uses your fight or flight response to fuel your excitement for whatever makes you nervous. Kind of like riding a roller coaster. Yes, it can be scary, but it sure is. It's a thrill. It's exciting. Counter the thoughts that hold you back by getting excited instead of stress. Try it out. You'll start to see a subtle but significant change in your perception of new or stressful things. Change I'm nervous about speaking tonight to I'm excited about speaking tonight. You aren't lying to yourself by reminding yourself that fear and excitement are closely related. They feel pretty much the same. Let your brain kick into gear and get your work done. It does take a lot of practice to achieve an authority mindset, but if you want to build your reputation in the coming years, you'll have to deal with lots of issues that require attention and mental clarity. You'll find that you have to make difficult decisions about which paths to take. For example, when I was scaling my agency Authority Titans, I hired a marketing guy to bring us more business, right? More leads using Facebook ads. He was so good at his job, and he brought in way more leads than we could even handle. I remember talking to my brother, Daniel, and I was telling him we either need to hire more people or like more salespeople or figure something out. And there's no chance I'm turning down our ads, right? I knew there's no way I wanted to turn down the ad spend. So I ended up hiring my brother's best friend, Zach. Still works here today, actually. And it worked. This is like 4 or 5 years ago. It worked. And instead of 20 calls, we were doing about 40 calls per day. Then he turned up the ads again. And then I had to hire another person. So Zach called his buddy, I think it was his cousin Chris, who had sales experience, and he's a great fit. Then we were taking 60 calls a day. We shot up just within a few months from $20,000 per month to multiple 6 figures a month in revenue. The problem was we didn't have the infrastructure to handle everything. All the new sales, right? So our writers, they couldn't handle the load. And things were getting really, really behind for our clients. Our quality started to go down. Our client retention was starting to decrease by 10, 15% monthly. Our customer experience ended up it was bad. It was getting really, really bad. It was tough, but I had to power down the ads. Even though I didn't want to do it, we needed to slow down to build the systems. We needed to achieve success for long-term growth. Yes, we did lose a little money during that time. So when I powered down the ads, it slowed down our growth, but I had to make sure that our systems were in place. I had to focus on the smaller things. I hired like 4 or 5 operational managers, 15 more writers. But looking back, it was the best thing I could have done because it saved our reputation. Remember to trust yourself and trust the process. Trust the work you're putting in to yield the results you are ultimately looking for. Practice your ability to make effective decisions and tune out the self-doubt and limiting beliefs. Tune in your emotions and get familiar with your decision-making process to make necessary changes and decisions. Focus on the things that matter, and from there, trust yourself and the process. In the next episode, I'm going to be getting into the specific steps that you can take to begin building your authority. Stay tuned, stay golden. I'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for tuning in. I'd love to hear from all of you. Follow and connect with me on all of your favorite social media platforms at Dillon Kivo, DILLONKIV as in Victor O. And until next time, keep building your brand and stay golden.